Hey everybody, I'm not sure if that one person is old Curly Jaws. It might be. Um, I gave a few hours notice on this one, but this was one of those things where I just thought about it at the last second. Now we got two people in here, so maybe there's somebody else that's maybe going to watch this because I know that Darren marked. Hey Texas, how you feeling tonight? Um, I know that Darren did mark that he liked it whenever I put up my promotional material. And I started to do another watch along. But then I thought, well, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. So why don't I just do a stream about vicious vacations or horrific vacations? And you guys may not agree with all the ones that I picked. I know old Curly Jaws has got, last time I talked to him through chat, he had 5 picked out. I'm not sure if he picked it anymore or not. I do have 6. I was going to go just with 5, but then I was like, oh, well, I don't think I've talked about the last one that I'm going to talk about on a stream. So, I definitely wanted to include it. Texas, you say better, have my follow up in the morning. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better, and I hope that you get a good report when you go back for your follow up. Um, I'm going to go ahead and add old Curly Jaws here. Hey, old Curly Jaws. Whoops, he went away. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, I'll wait for him to come back and then I'll re-add him. I'm not sure what happened there. Okay, let me try this again here. Hey,
Yo,
old Curly Jaws, you disappeared.
yeah.
So, have you been partaking of the fun stuff? Any gummies or
Oh yeah, I got these cherry ones that are pretty good.
cherry? Sounds good.
Yeah, like a lot. I noticed a lot of people say they don't like gummies because they can taste the stuff they use or whatever. But I don't really. I mean, that taste don't bother me. But I mean, if I had to recommend anyone try them, this mellow cherry one's pretty good.
Well, if I wasn't so hesitant of the gummies, I would probably try to get some cherry ones. I'm not sure what the flavor is that Steve has on those sky high gummies he got last, but like I can always tell when he's got the gummies in him because like I didn't even know he took one, and he was laying in bed and I just went in there just to talk to him for a second, and he was watching something and he was just going you took a gummy, didn't you? Yes.
Yeah,
I can always tell when it's a different thing than somebody drinking alcohol, obviously. You
yeah.
know, Steve just gets sleepy with alcohol now. He gets a little silly with the gummies, but he probably just hasn't learned to I guess go through a day or something on them just because he doesn't take them that often. Now, oh, Curly Jones, do you take them every day or
Yeah,
see? I guess your body probably gets pretty used to them after a while.
yeah. That's why I take like 5, 6, 7, 8.
So,
Um,
unless you just like go all out, you could function with some gummies in you.
oh yeah, like I could, I go out, like I go to the store, like and they just make the day better. You know what I'm saying?
Makes it more mellow or something.
Yeah, like you're less stressed. Like I mean, if you're capable of taking these at work and functioning, then go for it. Now if you're just some average Joe that doesn't take them every day, I wouldn't recommend taking one at work because you might fall on the floor. But if you're like like me, like you're like the Snoop Dogg or the who the fuck is the other guy? He's another musician who's a stoner. Willie Nelson. If
Oh
like, I
yeah.
would say like if you're not oh curly jaw Snoop Dogg Willie Nelson level, then don't do it. But
Don't do
if
that.
then don't, yeah, I wouldn't recommend. But if you if I say test yourself, like
Yeah, I think if Steve took them at work at this point, he'd probably just have a laughing fit, and they'd be, hell, what is wrong with him?
he's like, boy, hell's wrong with y'all?
Usually, what I do if I get stressed um, from work or whatever, or just life in general, usually I take my anxiety medicine, but I'm waiting for my new insurance to kick in. So I don't currently have any anxiety pills.
Mm,
My insurance is supposed to kick in the first of
Like
February. So
like these were these are this brand's called Remedy. These oh shit, these are 500 milligrams each.
uh-huh.
So like I wouldn't recommend, like, if you're an average Joe, it's like, oh, I'll take a gummy. I wouldn't recommend any beginner or anybody that's not used to take these. You will probably you won't know what the hell's going on at that point. So if you I would say these would be a better choice than these for a beginner. But if you're like, oh, I do it all the time, then yeah, you can handle these.
I guess you got to work yourself up. You got to go up.
Yeah, work your don't think you're a big dog. Thinking, oh, I can fucking no. See, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, I'm a big dog. I'll be all right.
Uh,
No, no, you got to work your way up to it. Don't just go in there like, nah,
I
you're gonna
think
hate yourself.
I think Steve learned his lesson when he first got some gummies, and he
Mm,
took two instead of taking the one like they told you to, and
um,
he completely lost it. He couldn't hold a can of Coke in his hand. Uh,
mm,
he couldn't brush his teeth. I thought I was gonna have to brush his teeth for him. It was just like it was
he's like, he's gonna be like, can you comb my hair?
yeah.
If,
It's a
if
wonder
he's,
he didn't ask that. It's a wonder he didn't
I'm
like.
like, you don't got no hair, son.
I can comb your head.
It's gonna hurt, but
Oh man. Okay, so I don't know how many we might have tonight. We might have, a few more as we go through these movies. So I guess we can do like the alternating back and forth till we get done with our stacks. Uh,
mm,
so do you want me to go first, oh Curly Jones, or do you want to go first? We can switch it up
um,
if you want to.
sure, I guess I'll go first. I know I don't have the physical movies with me,
That's cool.
but yeah, I'm gonna talk about my number five is a film that I think a lot of people don't talk about. It's actually a sequel to the original film, which I think this sequel is much better, and it does take place people going on vacation to a different country, and that's Wolf Creek 2.
Mm.
Wolf Creek 2, if you're looking for a really gruesome and just balls to the wall like vacation movie, like in Australia, like it's really a good movie. It's definitely better than the first one. You don't really got to watch the first film to understand the second one. I highly recommend just skipping the first one and watching just the second one because it's really good. And the first one's not as good, I think, but
Mm.
if you have not seen Wolf Creek 2, highly recommend. Really fun, like, movie. I really highly recommend that one.
I'm gonna have to check that one out based on your recommendation because it seems like that Steve watched the first one, and it seems like I may have seen like clips of it, but maybe I just need to go whole hog and just try the second one.
The second one's really good. Like, I really enjoy the second one. I'm like, I tell my brother, I'm like, I don't want to watch the first one without watching I don't want to watch the second one without watching the first one. Like, you don't got to watch the first one. I'm like, oh. because I'm one of those people I like to watch them in order.
Right.
So I'm like, but I went ahead and watched the second one. And I'm like, it was great, really fun movie. The main killer in the movie is really over the top and just fun. The killer's is really over the top Australian, really thick Australian accent, and
Oh,
just killing people. It's a really fun time.
yeah. I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out.
Hey, if you want to do like a commentary for it, we can like a first time watch or whatever.
Oh yeah, that would be
I think it might be on Tubi actually.
that'd be good. Darren's the only person that can't watch things on Tubi. I know, but
Oh,
he may have another outlet to be able
did
to
they
watch.
not? Did they don't have Tubi in England?
I don't know if it's something about it's not allowed or it's something with like a proxy server or something. I'm not really sure. I have
Hmm,
to ask him about it
that's
specifically.
weird. I
Uh,
love Tubi. Like Tubi's
I
an
think
amazing
Tubi is becoming like
what
the
Netflix
the
was.
new YouTube for like finding movies to watch
Hmm.
for free. Do you have do you have that commercial free modded version of it?
No, I just have because the commercials don't really bother me. There's not like a whole lot, so I just I don't really pay attention to the commercials. I just watch the regular version.
Steve was able to get that modded version, and I've gotten kind of spoiled to not having commercials on TV now. So Blissful's in here. She says, "Hi Dana and hi old Curly Jaws." Um, and Texas says both Wolf Creek movies are great, so he likes both of them. It looks
I
like.
mean, the first one isn't bad. I just prefer the second one more. The second one's more brutal and just more carnage. I think and I think they're supposed to be making a third one, but I couldn't swear to that.
Wow, we got six in here now.
Oh shit!
That's probably counting you, old Curly Jaws, but so that means there's five other people in here. Awesome. So I guess is there anything else you want to say about Wolf Creek 2? No?
No, I pretty much explore. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend checking it out. Find a way to watch it. It's a really fun time.
So mine are not really in any order. I just picked six of them. And so the first one I was going to talk about is The Hills Have Eyes. It's the original Hills Have Eyes, the Wes Craven movie. The great Michael Berryman over here. I just met him at Scarefest not very long ago. I think, what was it, September maybe?
I like to meet him. He looks like a very nice guy.
He's a very gracious, sweet man, and I really enjoyed meeting. He thought my Hills Have Eyes album soundtrack. He thought it was a laser disc, but I was like, That's all right. He can think it's a laser disc if he wants to." He signed.
I mean, I bet he would love to sign the laser disc. I wonder if anybody's ever brought him the laser disc to sign.
Maybe so. I don't even have a laser disc with that one. I have a handful of laser discs.
I have a Lost Boys laser disc.
Ooh, cool. That's
Yeah,
all.
I thought about getting a player, but I'm like, do I want to lay down the money? I've seen them go for like $200.
I got one, and I've still got it, but me and Steve have never hooked it up since I moved from my parents' house, and when I moved in with Steve. Uh, we just have never hooked it up. But I did use it a handful of times when I was living with my parents, and my mom was like, "What is that thing?" She like,
It,
I got this big thing in the mail, or UPS brought it or something. She was like, "What is that, Dana?" I said, "It's a laser disc player, Mom." I said, "Look what kind of disc it plays." And she said, "Well, them look like records." I said, "Well, yeah, they're the size of records, pretty much."
laser discs make a comeback.
Yeah. Uh, so, oh, Curly Jaws, have you seen The Hills Have Eyes, the original one?
I've seen clips of the original. I've seen the remake more than I have any of them,
Hmm.
and I've never seen the sequel to the remake. But I enjoyed it for the most part. And the original, I've seen bits and pieces of it. But for what I've seen, I don't mind it.
That's good. So this came out in 1977. Uh, so it's a typical story. We've all seen this story. Um, this family is going on vacation and they take an ill advised detour to California. So they're on their way to California for a vacation. They end up out in the desert and basically I think they get a flat tire or something. So they're kind of stranded out in the desert and the dad, I'm telling you, this movie probably wouldn't get made now because the dad is pretty much a racist. I mean, he's a white guy and he's racist. And I don't mean racist just against white people. I mean, he's racist against anybody that's not white, pure 100% American. And so this movie, I just couldn't see it getting made now. People wouldn't allow it to be made now. Um,
I mean, it got well. I don't know. I haven't seen the remake in a long time. Do they follow that character like the same, like him being a racist, or is it? Because I haven't seen the remake in a very long time. Like it's probably been I
yeah,
don't know how many years.
I don't know. I've seen the remake, but it's been a while for me too, so I can't really remember if the father character was like that in the remake
Hmm,
or not.
probably not.
But you want to talk about a brutal film. This movie, and I know the word brutal gets overused a lot, but it is brutal. When stuff kicks into high gear, like you're teased at first because the family is obviously being watched by someone or several someone. And we soon find out this is a mutant, probably inbred family. No, but
Mm,
no telling how many generations of inbreeding has gone on in this family. And so there's one member of this family, Ruby, who has a conscience, who actually has a conscience, who really doesn't want to harm these people. They're not harming her, so she doesn't want to harm them. But the rest of her family wants to kill them, wants to torture them, and do all kinds of horrible things to them, including taking the life of a poor parakeet. And I know it's not a real parakeet that's getting killed, but they sure make it seem like that poor parakeet's getting its head eaten by one of these.
see, they should have made a second one. Like instead of the, I know everybody hated the original second one. I think. Did you like the original second one?
I liked it okay, but I much prefer this one.
They
The
should have made it. They should have changed the sequel. Make the son of the parakeet from this film and the second one try to attack the family.
yeah.
Like this parakeet ain't fucking around.
So I mean, you have um, people basically being tortured, people being set on fire. I mean, just all kinds of horrible things. There's a baby put in jeopardy. There's animals put in jeopardy. Um, the family has two dogs, and one of them is killed early on by the mutant family, and the other manages to survive. But me being the animal lover that I am, it just kills my soul when an animal's killed in a movie, even though I know that they didn't really kill that dog. Um, they do a good job with through the magic of special effects of making it seem
Mm.
like that dog was killed brutally. Um,
I
and
still, I still can't. I think I can't remember if this is real or not, but I remember it was a Disney, may have been a movie or documentary with those little chipmunk looking things throwing themselves off that cliff, or are they getting thrown off the cliff? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little fuzzy, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm like that's
Yeah, even animated things could could bother us, when it has to do with animals. And there's a lot of us that are sensitive to animals and children, especially babies, just because you put animals or children or infants in jeopardy. They're so innocent for the
like
most.
they can't defend
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly. They can't defend themselves. That's right. Um, unless you've got these murderous kids, unless you're a kid like Mikey or something that wants to go around killing
Unless you one of them corn children, get the like you know.
the corn.
Yeah, like they don't. They need to make a They need to make a new Children of the Corn movie, the reboot it called The Corn Children.
Yeah, there you go. Um, so Texas says there's a Wolf Creek series on Shudder. I think I saw that.
Is it? But is it this? Is it the original guy though? Now, if it's the original guy, I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's only if he that like they can't do Wolf Creek without that guy. That guy's perfect.
And X-Ray says, to me, Hills Have Eyes is part of an unofficial trilogy Craven made. First was Last House. This was the second one. Third and final was People Under the Stairs. They're all similar thematically. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, X-Ray, but you're right. Two different social classes colliding. Exactly. X-Ray says, Ruby from Hills Have Eyes, Junior from Last House on the Left, and Roach from The People Under the Stairs were all analogous characters. Hey, John. John says, what kind of vacations we talking tonight? Griswolds in hell? Actually, I was I come this close to using a picture of the Griswolds from the National Lampoon's vacation movies as part of my promotion for this. But then I settled on the Jaws thing and just kind of put my cartoon picture or my character picture in that. John, you said wanted to watch last night, but spent all night building a media cabinet and watching the Rumble. Oh, did you get your media cabinet done, John?
Did you watch the Rumble?
I did not. Well, I actually saw parts of it today. Steve was like watching it on replay today. So Texas says it's the same actor in the series. He's talking. I guess he's still.
Oh shit! I'll have to check it out. Like, I didn't even know that existed. I'll definitely be checking that out. Like, did it just like has it been on for a while?
We'll give Texas a chance to answer here.
Because I mean, yeah, I want it. If it is, I'll buy it like a DVD. If it's released, the series is released on DVD. I'll buy that.
Blissel says she's listening while battling dishes. Yeah, I already battled dishes. I put the blame totally on Uncle Bill for this, but he made me hungry for that Mississippi pot roast the other night, and so I ended up making it. And
That
then
sounds good.
it is really good, and it's simple to make too. Really, especially if you have a crock pot or an Instapot with a slow cooker option. Yeah, all you got to do is put it in there, set it for slow cooker. I put a pouch of ranch dressing, dry mix. You don't even have to mix it up with any liquid. Just sprinkle it on your roast, and then you get some. And forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but it's French. It's like au jus gravy mix,
Yeah, yeah.
and you sprinkle that on there. You put some pats of butter on there. I think I put like 4 or 5 pats of butter on there, and a layer of pepperoni peppers in there. And I mean, you would not believe how good the flavor is. And I cooked it for. They tell you to slow cook it for 8 or more hours, so I slow cooked mine for about 10. And the flavor was so good. And then I fixed some mashed potatoes today and made some biscuits, some homemade biscuits. So that's what I had for my dinner. Was a little bit of roast, a little bit of mashed potatoes with that gravy from the roast on there.
I'm fucking starving. That sounds amazing. Like, mail me a meal.
I wish I could do that. Of course, it probably wouldn't be too good by the time it got.
I love pot roast.
I do too, but Steve has never really been in our marriage. He's never really been a big fan of roast. And I've tried a bunch of different ways, but he really liked this. I said, "How was this?" And he's like, "I like it." And I said, "You like it better than the other roast I made?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that must be our recipe then." So,
yeah, I might try that. And like, that just sounds really. I haven't had roast in a while, so I might do.
So John says it took him fucking 7 hours to put that media shelf together. It's cheap Atlantic one, but it worked. Well, nothing wrong with the Atlantic one. Definitely not.
7. See, this is what I wish. Like, I wish you could have an option. Then I would pay an extra $100 if they could pre-build it. Like anything, like that should be an option for anything. If you want it pre-built, extra $100, I would pay for that option. Just saying.
I know sometimes with different things like furniture and stuff, Amazon will offer like installation or assembly, and it does generally, depending on what it is, it can be $100 or more.
I mean, I would pay. I mean, because that just saves me energy and time and just instructions. And I'd pay it.
And John says, my wife is better at that stuff, but I wanted to try it. Well, Steve is better, or I guess I should say Steve's quicker about putting stuff together than I am, but he gets so aggravated. And then he'll sometimes try to force things and end up, when you get the cheaper stuff, if you try to force nails and
you'll break it.
Yeah, it will split, and then you've got a problem there. So I decided to start doing the stuff myself. Like my desk back here that I'm sitting at now, I put this desk together myself. It took me a couple of days, but I got it together. And I think I only had to have Steve help me with one thing. But other than that, I got it myself. Let's see. Middle says, "Hello, Deadite watchers." Well, hello, Middle.
Hello.
John says, "For real, making me hungry." Sorry, guys. I wish I could invite all y'all over for dinner or something, and we don't have.
Steve's gonna be like, "Who the fuck are all these people?"
Why do you invite all these people?
It's like we heard foods.
Exactly. Johnny say 3 to 4. I'm exaggerating, but my advice: buy expensive pre-built. Okay, got you, John. John says, "Oh yes, I strip Phillips' heads all the time." Becca laughs at me. Well, Steve will do that, and then it'll be a bunch of F-bombs get dropped because he's done that. So I would rather just avoid that if I could. So I will highly recommend The Hills Have Eyes to try to move this along here. This is the Arrow release of it. Steve got this for me actually, and let me see if I can get it. It does have a cool little booklet with it, with pictures and stuff about the movie. And
Is it your favorite Wes Craven movie?
I probably wouldn't say it's my favorite Wes Craven movie. That would probably have to go to A Nightmare on Elm Street, which might surprise some people, actually. But I do really like Hills Have Eyes. I do appreciate the craftsmanship and all of that Wes Craven put into it. Now, I did get this cool poster. I'm not going to try to unfold it because it'll take me half a day to fold it back, so I won't do that. But Steve got me this a few Christmases back. I'd said that I wanted it, so that's what he got me. So I'm going to put this back in there. And I'm going to turn it back over to old Curly Jaws to cover his next one.
So the next one is a movie that takes place in Louisiana. Now, if you know what movie I'm talking about, does anybody want to take a guess on what movie I'm talking about?
Let's see. It takes place in Louisiana. What year did it come out?
2007, or I think.
Is it? Shoot.
It stars one of your favorite stuntmen actors.
Yeah, and oh God, come on, Hatchet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying. My brain was
like Hatchet's one of those. I love. It's like they take a trip to Louisiana for the festival and all that, and trying to have this guy have a good time because he just broke up with his girlfriend or whatever, and and they're like, "Come on, we're over here, have fun," and then they meet this. They hear the legend of Victor Crowley, and then that shit shit hits the fan after that. It's just the movie's fun. It definitely reminds me of an '80s slasher, and in my opinion, it's just a really fun time. Like the Victor Crowley, the character looks fucking awesome. The design of it looks really cool. The kills are great. The story's great. It's a really fun movie.
And they basically gave Kane Hart. I'm not saying it was a mercy acting gig. I'm just saying that I will give credit to Adam Green for coming to Kane Hodder and saying, "Hey, I'm making this movie. Would you want to, be the main character, the killer in this movie?" And basically, Kane Hodder had gotten shit on the whole Freddy versus Jason thing. I'm still mad over that. I think I'll be mad over that forever and ever. And I think it really hurt Kane Hodder. I mean, sometimes he'll talk about it at length, and sometimes he won't. But I think it was really shitty the way they let him think that he was going to be playing Jason again. And then when it came down to it, no, we're going to put Ken Kersinger in there. And I'm not saying Ken Kersinger is not a good guy. It wasn't his fault. It was whoever made that decision about putting the rug out from under.
Yeah, he wasn't a bad Jason. I thought he was a pretty good Jason, but I still would have liked to see Kane Hodder, get the finish, what he started with Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Or not, I mean, Jason Takes Manhattan.
And actually, he was Jason in part 7. So.
Oh yeah, he was.
So he was in 7, 8, and 9, and then I just don't understand it. I don't understand.
Do you think? I mean, if they're talking about making this another Friday the 13th movie, do you think they get Kane Hodder back, or do they go with Derek Mears, or do they get a new guy?
Well, I'm thinking probably if they did ask Kane Hodder at this point in time, Kane Hodder would probably tell him to fuck off. I mean, honestly, I would. if I got done that way, and I couldn't blame him if he said that. But
Mm.
I'm almost to the point with Friday the
I
13th.
think the only way they could get Kane Hodder back if they have Roddy, you be the one to ask him.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Fuck you, Roddy, you piece of shit."
But I said this about the Halloween movies, that I'm just done with Halloween movies. I don't care if they ever make another Halloween movie again. And I'm about to that point with the Friday the 13th where I would just as soon just forget it, don't make anymore, just stop.
See, I'm like the total opposite. Like I'm the a total 180 opposite. Like I want to see them make like if they say, "Hey, we're gonna do 20 more Halloween movies," I'll be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it." If they say we're gonna do 17 more Friday the 13th, I'm like, "Yes, let's do it."
And I used to be like that, oh curly jaws, but I've
Mm.
seen so much bad shit that I just want to call it done. Cut, cut it off clean, cauterize the wound, and just say, we're going to move on to something else. I'm like that with Texas Chainsaw Massacre at this
Mm.
point. I'm way past it with Halloween, and I'm almost there with Friday the 13th.
I feel like okay, you know how they're doing these like reboots, like okay, like we're gonna start the sequel to the original, but now like okay, Halloween's done it. I'm
Mm,
pretty sure they might be doing that with Friday the 13th, probably. Who knows? But I would like for them. Okay, it's like okay, why do we have to do a sequel to the first one? Can we do a sequel to a sequel within that franchise? Like, hey, we'll do a sequel to Part 4 of
mm,
Friday the 13th, or we'll do a sequel to Jason Takes Manhattan,
yeah,
or we'll do a sequel to Jason X, or we'll do a sequel to Jason Goes to L, or like with Halloween, we'll do a sequel to H2O, or we'll do a sequel to Rob Zombie's movie, or like like why does it have to be always be the first movie?
right. I get that. And so I'm like that about. I've said this before about the Phantasm movies. I don't recall if you've seen the Phantasm movies, oh curly jaws.
I like Part 4 and Part 5 the best.
Okay, so I was always a big, huge fan of the Phantasm series, and I watched every one of them. And for a while there, I wanted a part 5. I really wanted a part 5. But by the time anybody decided to get in gear and make one, number one, Don Coscarelli didn't direct it as he directed all the others. Um, Number two, Angus Scrimm to me is the only person that could have played the tall man. And I would not even want anybody else to be in that role. So by the time that they decided to make Phantasm Ravager, Angus Scrimm was so ill that you can tell that he obviously was not in good enough health to
So
be in a lot of scenes.
if they say, hey, we're gonna do a Phantasm remake, let's get Derek Mears to be the tall man. Do you think that wouldn't be good?
I mean, I like Derek Mears and all, and I think he did a great job with the Friday 13th remake. But I don't know if Derek Mears could pull the tall man off, though. I'm just not really sure if he could or not. Somebody'd have to show me some video of him, doing the tall man thing before I could make up my mind about it. But so I don't know. I was just sad when I watched Ravager because I was like, what the hell is this shit about Reggie being senile and in the nursing home? I'm like, what the hell are they doing here? What is this? And it just kept going from bad to worse for me anyway.
See, I like that movie. Everybody shits on it. I thought it was good.
But that's okay. I mean, I'm sure there were other people that thought it was good too. I think probably you not being a big fan of the first one probably helped you be a bigger fan of Ravager. Now, see, I liked Oblivion. I like part 4. I'm like CK about part 4. Part 4 would have been the perfect ending to that series. You know, they could have just left Ravager off. Instead, we got this kind of sad, depressing reflection of Angus Scrimm's about on his deathbed. The character of Reggie is senile and in a nursing home. And
So, do you think they should, if they wanted to do a sequel, they should have done it like in like 2000
they
or
should
something?
have done it a long time ago. I think that the time had come and gone to make a true, adequate sequel and finale to the Phantasm series. If they were going to
Does,
wait that long, they should have ended
does,
with Oblivion.
does Angus Scrimm have any kids?
You know, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever read that or seen, you know, I definitely had, you know, when I met him, I mean, he had a handler with him, but like, I don't think any family members were there with him. So I'm not really sure. So before you guys get bored with me rambling on about sequels and stuff, I'm going to move on to my next one, which you guys knew I was going to cover this one, right? You knew I was going to cover Jaws. And I love this lenticular covers here. Oh, Curly Johnson saying thumbs down to Jaws. This, okay, guys, I've talked about this before, but I'm going to bring it up again. I think it's an excellent movie, number one, but I think there's a big nostalgia thing with me for this movie, and here's why. I have a lot of fond memories of watching this with my dad. And I'm close to both of my parents, but growing up, I was a daddy's girl. I wanted to do whatever my dad was doing. You know, I wanted to go with him and I wanted to do it too. So when Dad would watch movies with me, when we both had a fondness for a particular movie, and I know Uncle Bill has talked about watching movies with his dad, watching things like Dawn of the Dead and things like that, and you can tell that when Uncle Bill talks about it, that he's very fond of not only the movie, but the memories that he had of watching these things for the first time with his dad. So I have a similar type of thing with Jaws. That was one that me and Dad would drop everything. When Jaws came on television, we'd sit down and watch it no matter what we were doing.
Would you do that for Jaws 4?
Probably not Jaws 4.
Oh,
I like to watch Jaws 4, not for nostalgia, but for pure, like, insane entertainment purposes. And to see them in Jamaica and to see Michael Caine kind of slumming in this movie. I mean, those are the things I like about Jaws 4.
I love Jaws: The Revenge. That is probably the most like that. I would love to see a sequel to Jaws 4.
Maybe you should make one, oh Curly Jaws.
This summer, Jaws 5.
There you go. Directed by old Curly Jaws. So I don't think I need to at this point in time to give you the entire plot of Jaws. I mean, look, the entire plot is right there, guys. Killer shark. 2 words, killer shark. That's what this movie is about. And no matter how hokey the shark, that damn shark might seem at some points in time, I love this movie. I get enjoyment out of this movie. Um, I love the idea of this gigantic 25-foot or more shark chewing up people in the surf, pretty much. I the movie. I'll tell you the most frightening scene of this movie for me is the beginning kill, where the blonde girl, Chrissy, I think, she runs out into the water. This guy is taking a shine to her. He's smitten with her, and he thinks he's gonna go swimming naked with this chick that he met at some party on the beach. So he's drunk, and he ends up like rolling down a sand dune and passing out. She takes off all her clothes and dives into the ocean. Okay.
I'm just thinking, like, why would you want? I just don't understand what is people's obsession with jumping in the ocean in the dark at all. Like, I wouldn't even want to go there during the day. Definitely not at night. You're just asking to get ate by something. Like, you dumb.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to do that either.
I couldn't. Like, I just I was like, nah, no.
So she is out there just kind of relaxing and swimming around a little bit. But we know from the opening credits that there's something in that water.
I will say this. I remember as a kid seeing the VHS tape and just being fond of that cover. That cover was so like unique looking, and just the shark. Like, I don't know, something about the poster for Jaws. Always, I thought, even as a kid, I thought it was unique.
It's iconic, I think. It
Yeah.
it, it sticks with you. So she's out there having a good time, and we get an underneath shot of her, and something comes up. We don't. I mean, nowadays we know what Jaws is. We know it's a shark. Okay, but if you're watching this for the first time, and let's say you had never seen the poster or anything like that for it. Somebody had already put this in the VCR way back when we were watching everything on VHS tapes. And you just came in at the beginning of this movie and you see this chick swimming around, and all of a sudden something comes up and jerks on her, and she goes boom, and she goes under the water, and then she comes back up and her teeth are turned. She just like that. And so then the shark starts moving her around, and she's screaming, and her head is going back, and there's absolutely nothing she can do. And she grabs hold of one of these, what was it, a buoy or whatever they
Yeah.
call those things. She's grabbing hold of it, and then that daggone shark comes and just pulls her completely down, and you don't see her anymore until you see what is left of her washed up on the beach when Roy Scheider and his deputy are looking for and the boy that thought he was going to go swimming naked with her because he reported her missing.
Can you believe they have not remade this yet?
Yeah, it is strange that they haven't. I don't know if Spielberg maybe is holding those reins close or something. And
Man, he's probably like, when's the anniversary for Jaws? Like, when's the next, like, the big anniversary for, like, the 60th or the something anniversary.
Was it 70? Golly, I'm forgetting exactly what year it was. 75?
Yeah.
Yeah, 75. So
When it hits its big anniversary
I
date, I think that's
2026 will be 50. I think that'll be
that,
50. Unless
that's when they need to be like, okay, hey, guys, we're doing the remake,
and they
and
might surprise.
I think it could work. Like, I think if they do it right, like it could work. Because that's a big name. Like, just like seeing that in the theater again, it
Mhm.
would make a shit ton of money. Like them not doing it would be crazy not to do it.
Now, I would like to talk about another thing that is a startling thing, and Curly Jaws and his generation might say, "Oh, Dana, that is that's been done to death." But when I saw this shot for the first time, and my dad had already seen the movie, but this was like my first crystal clear watching experience with my dad, and he knew what was coming and I didn't. So when Richard Dreyfuss, when his character is underwater and they found that guy's boat,
Oh, I know what scene you're talking about.
yeah, and he's got his scuba gear on and he's swimming around through there, and he sees a shark tooth, a big old shark tooth in the hull of the boat, and he picks it out and he's holding it in his hand, and all of a sudden, that guy Ben Gardner who owns the boat, his head comes into frame, and you just like you kind of the first time you see it, you jump back just like Richard Dreyfuss jumps back, and he's like, "Holy shit!" And he drops that shark tooth, and then up he goes. Um, so that was a big scene. Plus, there are so many entertaining scenes in this movie. For instance, um, when Roy Scheider goes out on the boat with Richard Dreyfuss and the character of Quint, who's basically the shark hunter, and um, there are several funny scenes where like they're showing off all their scars and stuff like that, and they're drunk obviously, and all of a sudden you get a shot of Roy Scheider pulling up his shirt a little bit, and I guess he's got an appendix scar. But Richard Dreyfuss and Quint, they're they're like showing battle scars, where Richard Dreyfuss's character has gotten bitten by sharks or gotten stung by eels or, different things. And then Roy Scheider's got this appendix scar. Um, there are scenes where they're singing and they're obviously drunk. But one of my all time favorite scenes is "You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat" scene. And that is when they got Roy Scheider out there chumming, which is throwing this disgusting animal intestines and stuff like that in the water to lure the shark to the boat. And he's aggravated because he's having to do this. And he says to Richard Dreyfuss, he says, "Slow her head." He said, "You heard him, slow her head." And he says, "Why don't you come down here and chum some of this shit?" And that shark's head comes right up beside him. He looks and draws back like this. He backs into where Clint is sitting there and he says, "You're going to need a bigger boat." And I just love that. That's probably my all-time favorite scene of the entire film. That and "Smile, you son of a bitch" when he gets ready to blow the shark up near the end of the movie. So, a lot of great scenes.
You have Rob Zombie direct the Jaws remake. Instead of the guy saying "Smile, you son of a bitch," it's gonna be just the shark saying "Smile, you son of a," and then takes a big chunk out of the boat.
Be like they'd be smile, you motherfucker, or something. Be that they'd have to one up everything, and the vulgarity factor would definitely have to go up. He'd have to put Cherry Moon in there somewhere, and she'd have to be naked. That would be,
I mean, Rob Zombie has to do something like that again. There's no going back to the fucking PG campy monsters. That's dead and buried. You can't go back to that. You got to get a. I don't even know what like uh, my faith in Rob Zombie after that went really downhill. I don't know if I can trust him again.
you'll trust him again, old curly jaws. He'll come out with something that's gonna knock your socks off.
I mean,
You'll trust him again. Um, TJ says, how would you remake Jaws? What would the plot hook that would add originality to the established story? Well, I'm going to turn that over to old Curly Jaws. What would you say would be the plot hook to give it originality, old Curly Jaws?
I'd say it'd be like it's a good question. Like, what could you do differently that the original? Like, everybody's like, oh, they can just do a shot for shot update, but that's boring. Like, but I mean, it can be done right. Like, I enjoyed the Psycho remake, but if like doing it with Jaws, I feel like they would have to do something really different, or just something like I wouldn't say it could be like a 100% remake. Maybe it could be like I feel like they wouldn't do a 100% remake. They would probably do like a sequel to the original Jaws and call it Jaws. You know how they do with movies; they call it by the original name, even though it's a sequel. They'd probably do that with Jaws. They'd be like, "Oh, this is the son of the shark or the daughter of the shark or whatever. It's a new shark like coming back or whatever." And it's like, "Oh, is it coming back for revenge? Or are we going from that plot?" And they could actually borrow from part four and make it a revenge plot, like the shark is coming like revenge or whatever, and like, but this time the shark's not alone. Like it's like a family of the sharks or something.
They could do
Like,
a ghost shark movie. Have
oh,
you made a ghost shark
they
movie?
have. There is a Ghost Shark movie. It's called Ghost Shark, and we need to do a commentary. We need to write that down. Ghost Shark commentary, because the movie does exist.
Did the guys over at Asylum do it?
I I think so. I know Cool Deer's in it.
Oh, holy crap! Okay.
Yeah, but it's one of his better ones. Like, I enjoyed it. I laughed.
Amityville Karen, right?
Oh, it's Amityville Karen's fucking terrible. That movie, I like like anybody if request Matt Rambo Rat for Life to review Amityville Karen, pay like PayPal him, like he needs to review that movie. It is fucking awful. Like, it is hands down the worst fucking movie ever made.
Speaking of worst movies, did you get the chance to see Skinamarink?
No, not yet. Like, I still want to check that out because I, everybody says it's fucking terrible. Like, I think I have not heard anything positive
I have
about it.
not heard one positive thing about that movie. John said it's a piece of shit. I think maybe X-Ray said it was a piece of shit.
I think I know I saw an article saying it's the next Blair Witch.
Based on what people are saying, I don't think I'd go that far. Oh man,
Well, I'm like, I mean, I really love the Blair Witch Project.
I
That is,
do. I do.
I think everybody can agree that movie is an amazing fucking movie.
And for when it came out, nobody was really doing anything
No,
like that.
truly, that movie is probably if somebody say what is the scariest movie you could say of all time is the Blair Witch Project would probably be my number one.
That's cool.
Yeah, that movie, like, I get goosebumps every time I watch it. Like, I just get really claustrophobic, and
Yeah.
I just like it's just a really like if it's a mind fuck movie, like you're gonna be.
Mhm.
I would not want to be put in that situation. I'll say that.
I would not either. I definitely would not want to be in the atmosphere that was created in that particular movie. Um, so back to Skinamarink, and then I'm going to turn it back over to old Curly Dog for his next one. I was going to wait for it to be on Shutter, and I know everybody says it's a piece of shit, but I asked Steve if he will try to find a download of it again because he downloaded it a while back, but he didn't tell me he downloaded it. He said he kind of fast forwarded through it, and he said it didn't look like there was anything on there. And I said, "Well," I said, "could you please try, I know everybody says it's a piece of shit, but I've just
I would like to do like a commentary for that.
for Skinamarink."
Yeah, just like what like if you say if you've not watched it yet, we need to find a way to like watch it at the same time. Like that would be funny.
Maybe I can work something out. I got to see if he can get me the movie first.
Hmm.
But uh, on that note, I'm going to turn it back over to old Curly Josh to talk about his next one.
So my next movie, it's a movie that came out actually last year. It's X.
Ah, yeah, that was on some list of vacation horror films. Yes.
It is hands down one of the best experiences I've ever had in the movie theater. I laughed my ass off. It was a fun, funny movie. It had its moments where you're just like, "Holy shit, I can't believe I'm watching this." Sometimes you felt gross watching it, like you think I shouldn't be watching this movie.
A little,
But
the sleep factor was in there.
yeah, like it's really good. I fucking like so when like this is how like okay if you see my reaction and review for Pearl, it was a big disappointment from X with Pearl. I did not like. I won't say I didn't like it, but I would never watch it again. Like I have no desire to watch Pearl ever again. Um, but X was fucking amazing. Like X, in my opinion, it's a generation movie. Like it's like people say the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the greatest horror movie of the '70s. I would say X is the greatest horror movie of the modern horror movie. Like it is really a great movie.
Yeah, Steve and I went to see X at the movie at the theater as well, and we had a ball with that
Um,
movie.
in my movie theater, it was me, my brother, and this people. I think it was an old couple, and they walked out of the
Yes,
movie.
they
They it was like they. I don't know how far. I don't know. We like. I think they might have made it to like 20 minutes, and they walked out. And we're just laughing because they're like, "Oh damn, they didn't like." And me and my brother was just. It was a fun movie, man. Like if you did not see this in theaters, I feel sorry for you because it was a really it was a it's hard to describe what it was an experience. I'll say that like there's movies that you like. Oh, this was an experience. Seeing this movie in the theater, X was an experience.
it's something that you're gonna remember, like, years on down the road, and you don't
Mm,
do that with all movies. There's only
no.
certain movies that you do that. Now, The Conjuring was like that for me too, because I love the theater experience of going to
Mm.
The Conjur
The
the
Conjuring. See, I didn't see the original Conjuring in theater. I saw the Conjuring 3. I saw in theater,
yeah.
and I don't know if you saw. Have you saw the third one?
Is that The Devil Made Me Do It? Is that
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, and I think Steve and I went to see that one in the theater as well, and Steve did not like he didn't care for that one. I liked it okay, not as good as the first one, but
I mean, I liked it too. Like, I thought the voice recordings were creepy.
yeah. Any of that stuff to do with possession, that stuff is always creepy to me. always. So, is there anything else you want to talk about in regards to X?
Like, I was like, well, I'm curious where they did what, because the next sequel's Maxine,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the sequel to X. So I'm curious. I hope it's good. Like my my hopes are really thin with the sequel, just because of how disappointing Pearl was. But I know it's not going to be like it's going to be different, you know. And I wasn't mad that Pearl was like, oh, this is an old fashioned movie. That's not what bothered me. I don't know. It just felt like I don't know what I was. I guess I was expecting more. I don't know. I was hoping Pearl would be more like X was. X was just such an amazing movie. Maybe it was just because they came out so close together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've not seen X, I highly recommend it. I don't want to ruin it if you've not seen X. Check it out. It's a really great movie.
I got a kind of funny story about X. I was talking to my dad on the phone. I don't talk to my dad on the phone that much because Dad doesn't like talking on the phone. But
Same.
Mom was busy at the time, so I was just talking to Dad until she got unbusy. And I was saying how me and Steve were planning on going to see X. And of course, he asked me, "What's that?" And so here I am trying to explain to my dad that it's a horror movie, but it's about these people making a porno. And I was like trying to be very careful. I didn't want to be too descriptive of this movie with my dad. But that's my funny story about X. So I guess I'll move on to the next one in my stack, which we were talking about Friday the 13th movies earlier, and this is the original Friday the 13th.
That's funny.
And I I have a soft spot in my heart for and a fondness for Friday the 13th.
Is it the original?
Yes.
You know what? My next movie. I'm gonna let you say. Talk about your movie, but my next pick is a particular Friday the 13th movie. I'm not gonna say which one, but it is a Friday the 13th movie.
All right. So, but as I've said before, the original Friday the 13th was not one that I saw before I saw some of the others. Because, I was too young, of course, to go see the original Friday the 13th when it first came out. It came out in 80. I was itty bitty in 1980. So I was a little bit delayed in watching these. But growing up on television, especially around Halloween, part 3 was on heavy rotation on the television. And so that was the one I watched before I even was able to watch the original one.
I watch a lot of the Friday the 13th movies in the summertime, definitely.
They definitely are summer.
Do you watch them more in the fall, or do you watch them more in time in the summer?
I guess I don't focus more on one time of the year for these. It's just I've talked about this before too, that I catch myself watching the Friday the 13th series of movies too much and too close together. And so now I have to pace myself because I can tell when I've watched them too many times in too close proximity to each other. Because here's why: I start zoning out of the movie and I start doing other things.
Same.
Yeah, that's how you can always tell because
I've seen them so much. Like that's the most franchise I've watched. That and Child's Play franchise.
Nightmare on Elm Street kind of runs close. That series runs close for me.
I don't watch the Elm Street series enough to have that problem with. Like Like I don't hate the Elm Street series. Like I like it, but it's not one I go back and watch a lot of.
Hmm. So by zoning out, I mean that I look at my phone, I check messages on my phone. I find myself on Facebook. I might get my tablet out. I find myself looking out the window, whatever. I just, you know, and then I think, oh, dang, you're watching this movie.
Just looking out the window. Fred, are you out there?
Or, I'm focusing on my dogs or other animals, because usually the dogs are laying there on the couch around me, just kind of chilling when I'm watching these movies. And so Friday the 13th is another one. I don't think I need to give anybody in this chat the plot synopsis for Friday the 13th, so I'm not going to do that. But I definitely do consider it a vacation type of horror
Oh
film.
yeah.
Because what do people do on their summer vacation? What do kids do on their summer vacation? They go to camp. They might go to 4-H camp or they might
I
go.
loved camp. Like when I was in the 5th grade, we went to camp, and that was great. The
Steve,
food was the food was awesome.
was it really? Now,
Mhm.
Steve told me when he was a kid, he went to, I think he went to 4-H camp and he wanted to come home early. I think he got homesick. And I always wanted to go to 4-H camp, but my mom told me no because she was afraid that I would get homesick if I went to camp. So I never had that camp
Mhm.
experience.
I
But
want. I wanted. I wonder if that was the one. I can't remember if that's the one I went to or not.
4-H camp, yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people went to 4-H camp, or some people went to church camp or Bible camp or whatever you want to call that. Um, I went to Bible school in the summer some, but I consider myself a pretty decent person, but I'm not saying that you got to go to Bible school to be a decent person or anything.
If you
But
don't.
I don't think I got everything out of Bible school that really the churches wanted you to. I was just going there because you got a snack and you got uh, Kool-Aid and you got to make cool crafts and all that.
Mm.
Those were the things that I remember about Bible.
Just remember to check the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you want to make sure there's no Jim Jones wannabe that's gonna like.
That that's crazy.
So anyway, yeah, if you've never ever seen Friday the 13th, I would
Where
highly.
you been?
Yeah, yeah. Have you been under a rock for the last gosh, 50 years or so?
I think like if you've never seen Friday the 13th, like the movies, but you know the character, you if you heard the name, you're like, oh, the Jason guy.
Right. Or show somebody a hockey mask.
Yeah.
Hockey masks have become synonymous with the Friday the 13th series now. And we had Tater Sack Jason, but that didn't become iconic. Except
No.
maybe in CK and Uncle Bill's world, Tater Sack Jason might be iconic.
Tater
But
sack Jason.
and I actually have a figure of Tater Sack Jason. I'm not going to take him down because then I probably won't get him to stand back up. But he's over here on the shelf to my left. Steve got him for me,
Mm.
and he's standing there with his little um, campfire. I will show you the little camp.
I feel like Tater sack Jason would have been more effective if he start killing people with a bag of taters.
Yeah, but that would have been better if Kane Hodder had a bag of taters. Just like the sleeping bag scene in part 7 where he slams the chick up against the tree. in the sleeping bag. Um, but anyway, enough about Friday the 13th on my end. I'm going to turn it back over to old Curly Jaws for his next one.
So my number two is actually a tie, but the first one is the Friday the 13th movie that I picked for my number two is a tie with the other film that I'm gonna say. This is the Friday the 13th from 2009.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought this movie was effective. I think a lot of people loved it. I don't know if a lot of people love it when it first came out. I wasn't really paying attention back then, but I when I first watched it, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really like, damn, they really used Jason really good in this, and they made him look like a bad motherfucker.
Right.
Did you like the? I can't remember if you liked the remake or not.
I did like the remake. That for me was one of the better remakes, and I think that Derek Mears did an excellent job. And I've said before, I'll say it again. I'd really like to meet Derek Mears, just mainly because everybody talks about what a nice guy he is
Very nice guy. I met him before. He's really sweet.
and appreciates his fans. I bet.
Oh yeah, like I couldn't say one bad thing about him. Really good guy.
How is he on pricing, like for autographs and pictures? And
He was cheap. Like he was only like maybe, gosh, that's years ago. I've smoked a lot since then. Probably 15, 20 maybe.
oh yeah, see that's very reasonable,
Like
especially nowadays.
yeah, like he was definitely worth. Like they had it was either okay. I'm gonna either get Kane Hodder. I'm gonna get Derek Mears. I'm like, well, I like Derek Mears a lot. I love the remake, and I had a Blu-ray of the Friday the 13th remake. I wanted to get signed, so I'm like, well, okay, I'll get this signed, and I'll just. I mean, I'm sure Kane Hodder will be around doing conventions for a minute. So, and then the pandemic happened, and then all
Yeah,
that shit. So, I
usually,
I I, I like to go to a convention. I just need to know. Like, I think there's going to be one in October in Louisville, so I might go to that one.
mhm. Now Scarefest, usually Kane Hodder is at Scarefest, which is in Lexington.
Mm.
In the last few years, I know Kane Hodder has been there. When I met Kane Hodder, he was pretty reasonable, but I think his I think his prices have went to the roof now, as have many people. Robert England. I could name off a bunch of
Robert
people.
England's always been high though, right?
He I guess he's been above average, but when he I think he was at Scarefest this past time, and it was just like I could not believe like it was. And I'm not meaning to say anything bad about Robert England. I still respect him, but it was like you had to pay so much, and he would put so many words on something, like if you wanted a quote or something, and then it was additional for any extra words. It's like, who
What the
comes up
fuck?
with this shit? I mean, really?
That shit, fuck. That's fucking. That's just being a piece of trash. That's fucking. That's just wrong. Like, come on, get the fuck out of here.
But the thing is, this stuff will continue because Robert England's line was still wrapped around the building pretty much.
This is why you get Jack the Jackie guy play get his autograph. He won't charge you no $300 for a fucking autograph.
I wouldn't mind getting his autograph for Bad News Bears or something like that. Or
You wouldn't get his autograph for the remake.
no. I like Jackie Earl Haley in a lot of things, but not in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Sadly. Um, hey, Davy, I hadn't seen you in here for a while, so welcome back.
So now my tie between for my number two spot is Jeepers Creepers 2.
Oh, interesting. A sequel.
Yeah, in this sequel, if the famous something about the bus scene. I like the horror movies on buses. I thought that was really creepy. They
Mm.
remind me of being going to school and like, oh, is the creeper gonna get me on my bus to school? And I always thought that movie was great. I loved the second one. I saw the funny thing. I saw the second Jeepers Creepers movie first before seeing the first one. So I always thought the second one was the first one for the longest time.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which I mean, when you watch the second one, you really don't think of it as a sequel. Like if you watched it and you didn't know it was a sequel, you could be like, "Oh, yeah, I can see this being a first film."
Right.
Did you like Jeepers Creepers? Oh, you haven't seen Jeepers Creepers 2, right?
I don't think I have. I saw the original Jeepers Creepers, but ain't no crazy Justin Long in that freaking movie.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that guy. He ruins every movie, and I cannot stand him.
You don't like him in Tusk?
I don't even like Tusk, but I especially don't like him. I God,
Oh,
I stand
Tusk
that guy.
is awesome.
Uh,
I gotta. Have you ever seen my Tusk tattoo?
I think I did. Didn't you have some pictures of it, like that maybe were on
Hmm.
Facebook or something? I think I have.
Yeah. Robert Kurtzman signed it. The guy who did the effects for the Tusk costume, he signed my leg. Kevin Smith signed my leg, and his daughter signed my leg.
I tell you what Steve did to me after that freaking movie came out. Remember the ringtone, that More Margaritas song? He put that on his freaking phone. I said, "Why? Why do you do this to me?" I think it was just to irritate me. That was the main thing. So I think he may still have it as his ringtone. I'm not for sure. So you hear this more margaritas, and every time it just turns my stomach because it makes me think of that damn Tusk movie. But if you like it, that's groovy. I don't have a problem with it. It's just no, I do not like Justin Long. I don't want anything bad to happen to the guy. But if I never seen him in another movie, I would be perfectly fine. Maybe he can become a writer or something like that. And that way I just won't buy his books or something.
Yeah, I love the second one. I mean, Justin Long isn't really in the second one at all. Like he's in flashbacks, but like I said, I really enjoyed the second one. I thought it was more effective. I thought it was more creepy than the first one.
Mhm.
It's definitely better than the fucking fourth one. Nope, nobody can defend the fourth one. If even I can't defend that fucking movie.
And if old Curly Jaws can't defend it, you know it's bad.
It's the second one's a million. Oh my gosh, like that fourth one, like I think at this point, that's a franchise that I never want to see another film if they can't do the original stuff again.
Hmm.
Like that, I don't want another film. That fourth one ruined it for me.
So, like I say, if old Curly Jaw says a movie's terrible, you know it has got to be bad because old Curly Jaw's like some movies that I think are just shitty, and he loves them. They're considered some of his number one films, which is fine. So for him to say a movie is shit, you know it's got to be bad. You know it has got to be bad. Um, Anything else you want to talk about Jeepers Creepers or the Friday 13th remake?
Yep, I'm gonna pass it to you.
All right. So my next one is, you guys knew I was going to cover this one too, right? And this is not that damn remake. This is the original Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell classic. Okay. Um, this is why I have Evil Dead Chick as my handle. this movie, you can blame this movie or credit this movie with there
Mm.
being an Evil Dead chick.
But
So
not the remake.
no, no, no. I try to pretend that movie even exists, that remake even exists. So this is another movie that I think a lot of horror fans know about. And if they didn't know about the original before that shitty remake, they probably know about it now. Okay. Um,
Mm.
so this was a movie that really did not take off for a while. Um, and it took the people over in England or the UK. Uh, there were some guys that I forgot the name of the. Maybe somebody can refresh my memory. I'm forgetting the name of the company that these two guys work for. Uh, that really put the stamp on Evil Dead, made it become well known. And I think if these guys hadn't said what a great movie it was, I don't know that it ever would have become as big as it actually became. Um, and I think people might disagree with me, but I think it gave Bruce Campbell a career. Essentially, it gave Sam Raimi a career because look what Sam
Yeah.
Raimi's doing now. You think he would have been doing that if, he hadn't made this little film many moons ago? Um, but this was another one where I watched the second one before I ever got to see the original one.
Mm.
So actually, you would have to credit both the second one and the original one for
Mm.
me being the Evil Dead chick.
Did you like Army of Darkness?
I did. And I was so like, I was over the moon when Army of Darkness came out because we hadn't had an Evil Dead related movie for a while, for a few years anyway. Because I think Evil Dead 2 was like 87. And so it was a few years. And I didn't hear anything, didn't hear anything. And all of a sudden, I saw trailers for Army of Darkness. I was like, all right, I'm going to get to see this. I'm definitely going to see that. And I don't think I got to go to the movies and see it, which I would have loved to have
Mm.
done. But I think I did rent it whenever it got into the rental
Di-
stores.
didn't they show Army of Darkness like at the theater?
I
Like
believe,
like
I believe they did.
I like if they ever like showed it at the Regal like as like a special anniversary show, and I'd go see
Yeah,
that.
that would be awesome. I would love like a triple feature: Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And so this, I'm not going to go deep into the plot, but it's basically college friends go to a cabin and bad things happen. It's basically what Joe Bob refers to as spamming a cabin movie, which is the Evil Dead movies, the Friday the 13th movies. Those are all the types of movies that Joe Bob refers to as spamming a cabin. People are
Mm.
just there to be picked off, essentially. But in this, you actually have, instead of having a final girl, you get a final guy. Uh,
It's called a Final Bruise.
a final Bruce. And I'll be honest, as much as I love Bruce Campbell and as much as I love the character of Ash that he helped to create, um, he is pretty much a bumbling buffoon in the first Evil Dead. There is no doubt about it. Now, by the time you get to Army of Darkness, he becomes the wisecracking, smart ass that everybody's come to know and love. And I think that is a little bit of who Bruce Campbell is anyway, because I went to live shows that Bruce Campbell has done. And, he's nice when you go up and meet him. Like I met him at a convention and he's very nice to me. I'm not saying he's mean to people, but he can be a smart ass. Like when he's doing his big shows, like when one of his books came out, one of his last books that came out, he was going around touring and doing these little game show like things. And I dragged Steve to one of those things. One, so I could get a signed book, and two, so I could see Bruce Campbell again. So he had people up on the stage with him, and they were doing like game show types of things. And he was, he was obviously having fun and being a little bit of smart ass at the same time. But the people that were getting up on the stage, they knew it was all in good fun and nobody's feelings got hurt or anything. So, but in the first Evil Dead, he hasn't got to that level yet. Ash is, as I said, a bumbling buffoon, but he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch in this movie, and he does survive to the end. Although if you are watching The Evil Dead and hadn't watched the others or didn't know about the others, to know that he survived, you might think, oh, well, whatever this force is got him. The Evil Dead got him at the end because of the way that ends. Where basically, does anybody know how that final shot was done in The Evil Dead, by the way, of the force going through the cabin and then Bruce Campbell turns around and goes, ah, and it's like whatever this force is just hits him full head on. Does anybody know how that was achieved? I bet TJ knows if he's still in here. TJ usually the answer man.
I feel like if um oh shit I'm drawing a blank right now.
So I will tell everybody, Sam Raimi actually was riding a motorcycle through this cabin and then out the front door. And I don't know how true this is. I don't know if they were just kidding, but like if you listen to the commentary for it, I think Bruce Campbell says this is where you broke my jaw. So I don't know if he really got a broken jaw from that, or they were just playing around. But
That's that. Man, that's crazy on a motorcycle. Like you gotta be like that's commitment.
yeah, and Sam Raimi is the king when it comes to these unique shots. I don't think, I mean, you guys feel free to disagree with me. I won't get mad or anything, but I don't feel like anybody, maybe Kubrick, but Sam Raimi, I think, has got everybody beat on unique shots. The
I
way,
would like to. That's
but
somebody I definitely would like to meet is Sam Raimi.
I want to meet him. I've been wanting to meet him for years, and he was supposed to come to some convention a few years back, and then um, they gave him that new Doctor Strange movie, and he did an awesome job with that. Me and Steve went to the movies and saw that,
That
and
was a good movie.
I was like, damn. If he hadn't been doing this, he would have been at that convention probably. But, anyways, um, I won't go on and on about the Evil Dead. I think most horror fans know what it's all about. But this probably is my all-time favorite horror movie. It's not necessarily what got me into horror, but it's kind of what kick-started me a little bit to really loving horror and wanting to stick with it for a long time, and showing me how fun that these movies can be. So I credit it with that part of it. So back to you, old curly jaws.
So my number one is a film that I really enjoy. I feel like it's underrated. I feel like it's a very underrated film. A lot of people, I feel like it goes under people's radar, and that's Hostel.
Mm. Yep, that one was on many, many lists that I saw online of vacation horror films.
I really enjoy Hostel. I feel like, especially Hostel 2. Hostel 2 is really good. And I was debating which one to put on there, Hostel, Hostel 2. But I feel like the original Hostel, it's definitely a really an effective movie. You get grossed out. You get uncomfortable watching it.
Mhm.
The torture and just the mayhem and just like the movie itself. Like you just don't know what's gonna happen next. Like it's a movie that keeps you guessing and just there's a scene with this Asian woman. I'm not gonna spoil if you've not seen the movie, but it is really
I
fucked
think I
up.
know what you're talking about. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
like did you like Hostel?
No, I did not. I, I honestly, that is what first turned me off of Eli Roth. I've come to like chill out about Eli Roth when Joe Bob had him on the last drive-in, and I was
Mm.
like, yeah, he seems pretty cool and seem, he's all
What do you like any of Eli Roth's movies?
I like Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever's good. I like Cabin
Fever
Fever.
was decent. And so
And then he remade it, made it shitty.
but
Like
but
how do you remake your own movie and make it shitty?
and so then I was excited when Hostel came out, so I went out and immediately bought it when it became available. And I was sorry I ever paid money for that. I was like, "What in the hell is this shit?" I and it wasn't really the violence and stuff like that. That wasn't what turned me off. It and I am not a prude. I don't mind there being TNA in movies, but the overt sexual content in that film, I thought went way over the edge of what it needed to be.
For me, the series was like it saw me X-rated.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And it I mean, it was really close to being an X-rated film, in my opinion, from what I can recall, about
Oh
it.
yeah, definitely. Like that's one movie I have a lot of editions of Hostel.
Mhm.
Like different releases. I got a lot of versions of Hostel. Like I'm a really big fan of that first movie. The second one's really good as well. Like, and I've never seen the third one. I've still have not checked out the third one.
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to check it out, but at the same time, I don't want to watch it and be disappointed. But eventually, I'm going to check out the third one.
Am I wrong, or did Scott Spiegel, who is a buddy of Sam Raimi's, did Scott Spiegel direct the third one? I
Good
wanted to say
question.
he did, but I can't recall. Maybe somebody, if there's anybody still in the chat, they maybe could clue me in on that. So,
So
anything,
did you? So like, I know you say you didn't like the first Hostel. So I'm gonna assume you probably didn't like the second one either. Or did you even watch the second?
I don't know that I even tried watching the second one, but I think doesn't the second one have? And you might not know who the hell this is,
Mm,
Kelly Jaws, because she's very old school. But Edwidge Fenech um,
mm,
is in that, and she was older when that movie was made. But Steve said, "Oh my," because he's a big Edwidge Fenech fan. Um, he's had me watch a ton of movies that she's been in. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. But he says she was just absolutely gorgeous woman, and he said she doesn't look bad even though she's older in Hostel too. I don't know that she gets naked or anything like that, but she is in it. So, uh, I don't know. I guess maybe if it had been, maybe if the original Hostel had not had so much of that sexual, like the in your face, like
Mm.
I never understood what I mean.
Like, was it also like was it also like that plus was the language barrier because the actors being from a different country, like was that also a factor in there, or did they not like?
I don't think it was like a language thing, but I mean,
Hmm.
I wonder if it was a cultural thing. Like maybe people in these other countries are more
Because
free
when I
thinking about sexual activity. I mean, and
when
maybe
I
that's what it was.
when, yeah, when I first watched it, the language I was like kind of threw off by it, but then I'm like when I watch it again like multiple times, I like you get used to it. You're like, okay, I can get by. This doesn't bother me as much because I'm like, and then I really now it's one of my favorite horror films. It's in my opinion, it's a really effective movie. There has not, in my opinion, there has not been a film that has came along since Hostel that has went that extra mile. There's
Mm.
been some movies that's been, like, oh damn, but I feel like Hostel's just been like gore wise. There's been more shock value movies, of course, like what the fuck, Suburban Film, um, Human Centipede, like all those kinds of movies. But
And Centipede was one that I said, "What in the hell am I watching?"
then,
And
then
I
there's three
know
of
what
those.
it's like. Yeah, exactly. Um, but I to go back to Hostel a little bit. I know guys are horny. And I know young guys are horny and they like sex. They love sex. And, straight guys are going to want to look at women, naked women doing nasty things. They like that. I mean, that's just a given. And I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that, but I'm just saying I know how it works. But I could not, and again, I don't know if it was a cultural thing. I could not get behind the way these guys were just
Prudes.
they were like perverts almost.
Yeah.
It seemed perverted to me. And am I wrong, oh Curly Jaws? Because it's been forever, I think, since saw it. And did they go in a place where women were getting screwed like behind glass and they
Yeah.
were walking through there and looking at it?
Yeah.
And did they participate or were they just watching other guys?
They were just watching and they were just like, okay.
Okay. I didn't know if I couldn't recall if they ever participated in the sex or not, or
Mhm.
they were just watching
Like
guys have.
that's a series that I'm surprised there hasn't. There's only been three Hostel movies. Why? I'm surprised they have not. I'm surprised they have not rebooted Hostel.
Yeah, and nowadays they reboot reboot things almost as soon as a movie comes out. They've already
Yeah.
got a reboot out.
Mm.
Um, it's sometimes it seems like they're almost simultaneously coming out. It's like, oh, here's a film. Oh, here's a reboot. It's very confusing. So John's got some stuff in the chat here. John says, "Sorry, phone died. It's surprising nobody tried to remake Jaws, TJ, unless it got blocked by Spielberg and Universal, which is what I'm thinking. That probably Spielberg said, my baby, nobody's touching it." Um,
Well, if I mean, I just that's just money. Like, right? That's a lot of money. Maybe he doesn't need it. Maybe he's just like, no, I'm good. But I'm just surprised because it would make bank. There's no it would make money.
so John says it's a dead franchise, oddly enough. And it pretty much is because Jaws the Revenge was really the last Jaws movie that we were able to see.
Which was a fucking classic.
And
The
John
Shark Wars, like that's fucking amazing.
John also says, I think had they never ever done a Jaws sequel, that doing a sequel 50 years later by Spielberg and maybe someone from the original could work. Now that would have been original, but he'll never do that. Yeah, no, but it would have been an interesting little experiment.
I just don't understand. I mean, it just baffles me. Like it's, I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't need men want to do it. Maybe he just, I don't know. Maybe if the original actors were still alive, maybe he would want to do it.
Well,
Um, I don't know. It's
John said
it's like
John says it could have been done, practical effects, suspense. Yeah, we could have had, a real gem on our hands, the right time and place if it had, been done correctly. Um, so you want to bring up anything else about Hostel or Hostel 2, oh Curly Jaws?
mm, I'd say maybe you and CK and I and Uncle Bill need to review Hostel 2
I thought you were going to say do a watch along. I don't
or watch along too. That'd
know.
be perfect.
Oh, with all that sex in there.
I bet that'd be a perfect watch along.
Oh, holy cow. Man. We still got to do, like, I think we're not supposed to do an Evil Dead remake, like, watch along.
Yeah.
Was you going to be in on that? I can't remember now.
Oh yeah. Like I think we should do that closer to the release date of with the new one.
Oh, gotcha. Uh,
Like I want to go see that definitely.
so I guess I'll move on. I've got this one that I'm going to talk about, and then I've got one more, and then
Bonus.
yeah, a bonus. You got a bonus, and the last one I'm going to talk about, I don't think I've ever talked about on a stream before. As
Oh.
others I have talked about before. Now, it's funny that I'm going to be talking about this on the heels of Curly Jaw's talking about Hostel. And this is the original I Spit on Your Grave. And yes, that is Demi Moore. That is Demi Moore right there. That is not the actress Camille Keaton in that poster art or cover art. Before anybody really knew who Demi Moore was, she would do these modeling gigs. So that is her. Posing.
That is a great film.
You like the original one?
Oh yeah.
What do you think of the remake?
I mean, I don't hate it. That's the one movie I can say the original was better than the remake.
Ah, interesting.
Like that movie's just really intense. You really like are like damn. Like this, it feels real. Like you don't feel like a movie. It feels like real life. It feels like you're watching a snuff film.
And I think part of the big part of the reason why it feels that way is because Mayor Zarki, the director of this film, um, saw a woman after she had been brutally raped stumbling out of the woods. They were driving somewhere, and he sees this woman. She's all dirty, she's bloody, naked, stumbles out of the woods. She's been obviously brutally raped. And so I think that stuck with him. And so when he got ready to make this movie, I think this was still fresh. That memory was still fresh. And so I think that's probably the big reason why this seems so realistic. Seems like it could be a snuff film because it's so gritty, it's dirty, it's uncompromising. And here's why I cannot understand why people like Siskel and Ebert would say that a movie like I Spit on Your Grave glorifies rape. That it
I gotta say something about them.
okay.
Fuck them.
And I hate to speak ill of the dead, but that's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. If you watch this movie, and I mean watch it, I don't mean like fast forward to all the gang rape scenes, okay? Watch the whole movie. Watch how, um, although what Camille Keaton, and she does not deserve to get raped. Her character does not deserve to get raped in the film because she does these things. But I have told Steve before, I said, the one thing that she does near the beginning of the film when she first gets to the vacation house is she takes off all her clothes and goes swimming in the Housatonic without a thought that, hey, there could be some creepers out there in the woods, but that in no way, shape, or form justifies what is done to her within this film. It does not. Rape is a dirty, vulgar violation of a human being. And this movie represents it like no other movie that I've watched other than Last House on the Left. But here's where this one-ups House on the Left. She's not just raped once and gets to stumble back to her house and, call the cop and all this. She is raped multiple times by these degenerates who take advantage of her.
But you're just like, where's the sheriff? Where's the police? Like.
Yeah, don't they even patrol out in this area? And
it just makes you mad, like, and you're just like, you want something to happen to these people.
Mm-hmm. So I want to know what old Curly Jaws thinks about, like, because there's several guys that take advantage of her multiple times, including a bottle being inserted into her nether regions. And if you tell me that doesn't happen in the film, I say go back and watch it. It's the part where they're in her house when she stumbles back and the guy is beating the shit out of her. He's kicking her, he's slapping her, he's telling her she lays there like a mannequin. You want to say, well, you asshole, you bastard. It's because you're raping her. This is not a lovemaking session. What do you expect her to do? And there is a scene where he has a wine bottle or something in his hand, and then he pulls back his arm like this and thrusts it forward. When he does that, she screams. That is an ear-splitting scream. So nobody can tell me that does not happen within the fabric of that film. The other scream that's really bad is when she's been raped on the rock. So, but what I wanted to ask old Curly Jaws actually is, of the guys that rape her, there's one mentally handicapped, I guess would be the best way to say this, individual in the group. And he's a guy that hangs around with these low lives because he really doesn't have any other friends. Okay. So do you think that she should have killed Matthew, the mentally handicapped guy? Do you think that was justified? Do you think he knew enough to know that he was doing wrong and he should have been punished like the others? That's a question I always like to ask people.
Probably not.
And she does a number on him. He is actually hanged. And that scene is pretty brutal. I don't know how a woman her size would do this if I have to tell the truth, but it's a movie. So she she gets Matthew all excited. At first he's scared and he's got a knife and he's going to try to kill her. And then she says, "You don't want to kill me." And she basically seduces him. Um, he's going through the motions. And right when he gets to climax, she's got the rope around his neck before he knows it. And she's pulling and he's, the whole scene is very, very graphic. But probably the best kill is Johnny's death of getting his wang doodle hacked off in the bathtub. Um, how this idiot cannot tell that, he's no longer getting a hand job. He's actually being cut with a sharp blade. I don't know, but I'm not a guy. And I maybe when guys get into the heat of passion or whatever, I don't know that they could not tell the difference between a woman's hands and a knife. Um, but that is probably the most graphic kill and the one that seems to go on the longest. And there's also pretty much an absence of music in this movie, except where I think where she's in the church and she's asking God to forgive her for what she's about to do for her revenge on these guys. And when she kills Johnny and there is absolutely no emotion. She is giving him a hand job. She cuts his penis off. She casually gets up out of the bathtub, puts on a robe, goes downstairs and sits in a rocking chair. She puts on some kind of opera music. Meanwhile, you can hear Johnny screaming, "I can't stop the bleeding. I can't stop the bleeding." But you got this opera music going on. You got her calmly rocking back and forth in the rocking chair, and you got his ass screaming that he can't stop the bleeding. And he's up there probably, because you can hear him knocking around in the bathroom, and you can only imagine him bouncing around in there, looking down where his penis used to be.
You know what's fucked up?
What's that?
So I was at Walmart a few days ago, and they have "I Spit on Your Grave" in the Valentine's Day section.
So was it naturally there, or did somebody just stick it
Oh
there?
no, it was a Valentine's special edition of the movie. Like it was all colors of Valentine's and all that.
Oh wow.
I'm like, you
That's
people
hilarious.
really did not watch this movie, did
No.
you?
I'm surprised they even had it there. Like
That's what I was saying. Like, there's like this movie does not belong. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't care. I think everybody should watch any movie they want.
right.
But
I'm
I,
just
I
shocked.
mean,
I'm
I'm
just
just
shocked.
like they just yeah. I would not. I would never in a million years say this is a Valentine's Day movie.
Some boss somewhere must have been asleep at the wheel when somebody ordered that one. That's all I can say about that. Because I don't think I've ever seen I spit on your grave at like at a Walmart or a
Mhm.
Target or anything like that. But
Mhm.
and there was a point in time even that you could not purchase it on Amazon. And I think the notification was we are not allowed to sell this movie right now. But then of course, the 4K came out and stuff like that, and so of course they put it back out again.
I think that's stupid. Like countries will ban movies. I'm like, you should not be allowed to ban any film.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe say if it was a real snuff film, if people were really getting killed or something like that. But um, if something is purely a work of fiction, then no. There's no reason to ban it if you don't. It's and granted, you would not want your kids watching this movie. If I had kids, I would not want children watching this movie, in which case I would not be watching it around my children. I would save it for a time when it was just me and my husband or just me and other adults. This is not a movie that you bring out during family hour. Now, Steve tells the funny story of when he was still living in the house with his parents. I think early teens or something. He said his mom went to the video store and thought that I Spit on Your Grave was a comedy, and the whole family sat and watched that. I always find that very amusing. I don't know. Does that I'm not saying Steve's mom's dumb. I'm not saying that at all. But can you look at that cover and see comedy on that cover? I don't.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely don't. But a word of warning about I Spit on Your Grave. Please do not watch the sequel that Marzarki. And I mean, he was the damn director of the original, but he made a sequel to this movie not very long ago. It is awful. It is awful.
Mm.
So that brings me to the last film, which this is actually a double feature, but I'm only going to talk about one of the films. And Steve got me this double feature, and you guys probably can't see it real good, but Race with the Devil is the one I'm going to talk about that has Peter Fonda and Warren Oates. So you know this is an old movie, right? Um, Probably Curly Jaws is probably saying, "Who the hell is Peter Fonda and Warren Oates? Who the hell are those guys?"
Well, whoever Laura Oates is, I definitely want to check out their work just by their name.
So I don't know how many people have seen Race with the Devil. So I'm going to give the plot synopsis from the back of this Blu-ray. So for old friends Roger, that's Peter Fonda's character, and Frank, played by Warren Oates, and their wives, Laura Parker and Loretta Swift, it was supposed to be the best damn vacation they ever had. But their RV road trip takes a deadly detour at a secluded campsite when they accidentally witness a satanic sacrifice in Race with the Devil. Now horror hits the highways. The couples are pursued by satanic cultists through some of the most intense car chases and into one of the greatest twist endings in drive-in movie history. Directed by Jack Starrett, The Losers, and Cleopatra Jones, who was also an actor and played the memorable role of the vicious Deputy Galt in First Blood. So I absolutely love this movie. And I think it was Steve that introduced me to both the other film on here, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, and Race with the Devil. If you want to watch an eerie freaking movie that will get under your skin and stay there for a while, Race with the Devil will do it. Especially if anything to do with the devil, Satan worship, if any of that stuff gets under your skin and sticks with you after watching, like something like
Oh,
Exorcist or something like
have
that.
you, okay. There's a show. I would say there's a specific episode of the show that did that to me. Have you ever seen the show? It was on Animal Planet. It was called Lost Tapes.
I don't think I've seen that.
Watch the show Lost Tapes, Jersey Devil. That episode was fucking scary.
So I don't want to give the final scene away of Race with the Devil, but it's one of those things where twist ending it is. which you think everything is okay. It's kind of like the Friday the 13th scenario where Alice is in the canoe and the beautiful music's playing and everything's calm and serene. So it's kind of like that at the end of Race with the Devil. And then
Should I check it out?
I would love to hear what you think about it. I would recommend it. It really, that one final scene. I mean, I love the whole movie. It's action packed. It's got scary scenes in it. The creep factor is really high in this one. I think Peter Fonda and Warren Oates do an awesome job in this. Um, I will say, if you've got a fear of snakes at all, you might want to skip past one part where the snakes are kind of taking over their RV. Somebody has put snakes in the RV. But other than that, the whole like you don't know who to trust kind of thing is in there. Like you think you can trust these seemingly nice people, and it turns out that they're all part of the evil.
Would
And
you
oh, Curly Jaws, you still there?
Oh yeah.
Thought you was gonna ask me something. So
Yeah. Would you consider the Blair Witch Project in this category?
of ones that that kind of get under your skin and stay there, or
I wouldn't say because it really wasn't a vacation. They were more like
um, they were
on
doing
a
like a project or something like
yeah.
that. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna go make Sammy be quiet before he wakes Steve up.
Hmm.
Why he's barking. Sammy.
We definitely need to do a Blair Witch Project retrospective show, talking about all the Blair Witch Project films, including that shitty fucking movie that came out a few years ago. That was fucking dog shit. But I like Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows. But the best one's the original one.
Okay. Hopefully we can finish this up without Sammy going ape shit again.
Hmm.
I don't know what gets him started, but once he does, usually I have to go in there and make him be quiet. Oh, Garrett's in here. Awesome.
Oh, what's up, Bubba?
Garrett says Race with the Devil rocks, and I would have to totally agree with Garrett on that.
Oh, now I definitely gotta check out it now.
Oh, I get it. He won't go. Oh, Curly Jaws ain't going to go totally on my recommendation, but if Garrett says it, yeah. Garrett also says, "What's up?"
Is there a 4K for it?
I'm not really sure. All I've got is the Blu-ray. Like I said, this is a double feature with Doug and
Garrett,
Crazy Larry.
you would know. Is there a 4K for it? I'm sure there has to be, but there probably is.
Or if there's not, there's one forthcoming.
Yeah. I do need to start getting 4Ks though. Like I got a 4K player, but I don't have no 4Ks.
You got the 4K TV and all that.
Yeah.
So Garrett says not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
I might start my 4K shopping this week. Actually, I might start because we got a new store in town, so I might check them out.
Oh, what's the new store?
I forgot the name of it, but it's right next to the Hollywood Video. I don't know if you know what Hollywood. I don't know if you guys got Hollywood Video where you're at.
I don't know if we got got one here in Louisville, but I'm familiar with the name.
We got one in Clarksville. We got one in Jeff.
So, well, is there anything that you want to bring up before we get off here, old curly jaws, to like promote or just talk about something awesome that you've
I,
seen recently?
I, I say before you left to go take care of Sammy, I say we need to do a Blair Witch retrospective, like talking about like the first film and then the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows and that shitty fucking one that came out a few years ago.
I almost hate to get off here because now we got 7 people in here. Not
Damn,
everybody talking, but well, now we dropped the 6.
oh shit.
So I did want to remind people too that, and I know I talked about this last night during the watch along for those of you that either were in the watch along or that watched it today, maybe or something. Because I know a lot of you were watching the Royal Rumble last night.
I was, yeah, I was. I fell asleep during the women's Royal Rumble.
Well, actually, that was the big one that I was kind of watching a little bit of today when Steve had it on.
Like I woke up, and they said, and I see Rhea Ripley's like at the end of the match, like raising her hand. I'm like, oh, she won. I'm like, damn, that was a quick match. I'm like, oh shit, I fell asleep during the whole fucking women's Rumble match except until the end.
Well, I was gonna ask Steve, and then I didn't. I was like, "How many freaking women are gonna come out there?" I think like something like 30 women came out there, or close
I
to
mean,
it. It was insane.
I heard Nia Jax came back, and I'm just like, why?
That's what Steve said. I heard him say, "Why?" And I happened to be in the kitchen at that point, and I said, "Why? What are you saying? Why for?" And he said, "Nia Jax," and I said,
She's garbage. Like
"Well,
she was.
Steve says that she's not good at what she does.
She's not.
The only reason that she's even there is because she's related to The Rock. She's like The
Even The
Rock.
Rock don't like her.
He don't like her either.
He looks at her, he's just like, gosh, she just looks. She looks like that one red Solo cup that's kind of bent, and you just don't want to use it, but you got to.
Oh man. Um, hey J7, you say I love Peter Fonda movies. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, and Fighting Mad is good. Also, I don't think I've seen Fighting Mad, but I do love Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry. But I love it because it's like an action and a car film, but the ending bums me out. And I just have one word to say for you: unload. And don't ask me to explain that. Just go watch a Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, and you will totally understand.
Mary, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, Birdie Mary, Dirty Smary.
Uh, so, Garrett, if you're still in here, have you seen Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry as well? I'm really into like car type of movies. I'm kind of like in Death Proof when the girls are talking about all these car movies that they liked and stuff, and Vanishing Point was one that they talk about. So when they talked about, I was like, it's a car movie I haven't seen. So now I have a Blu-ray of Vanishing Point. And Vanishing Point's kind of a bummer ending as well. But they're good movies. They're good, action-packed car movies. And I would highly recommend them to anybody that likes those types of films. But Race with the Devil is like a whole different thing. It's not cool cars and stuff like that because they're riding around in a freaking RV, but it's a really good movie. And one that, like, it got under my skin at the end and it gave me cold chills. And the whole like satanic ritual that they witnessed, the sacrifice that they witnessed by accident, that is creepy as well. But so what I was going to say was, Steve and I had been talking, and I had a whole lineup of watch-alongs that I was going to do for the next few Saturdays. And I am definitely still going to do the My Bloody Valentine one, regardless of anything else. But Steve kind of indicated that he wanted me to spend more time with him instead of every weekend going back here and doing watch-alongs. So things with my watch-alongs are kind of up in the air a little bit. If you see a promotion for these movies, then I will be doing them. If you don't see a promotion, it means they're on hold a little bit. So I did have a good lineup of movies, and or I thought they were a good lineup, and Darren was telling me he thought that was a good lineup. And the first week of February, I plan to do, because I usually do one on Saturday and then on Sunday, the first week of the month. And I was going to do one, and then Sunday I was going to do popcorn because Darren mentioned popcorn. I was like, hey, I haven't done a watch along for popcorn, so that might be a good one. But anyway, before I bore people completely out, I just wanted to bring that up. So I want to thank old Curly Jaws for being on here with me once again. It's fun it's more fun to have somebody else on here with me than me get on here and just talk for 2 hours. Okay.
Right.
And so when old Curly Jaws was like, I'll be on if you'll have me, I was like, yeah, sure, and I sent him the link for StreamYard, and I'm definitely cool with it at any time, unless, the only times I've said, maybe I'll just get on here and do something real quick. But if I'm going to go on for 2 hours about something, I might as well have somebody else on here with me to bounce things off of. So, and you don't have to just hear and see my ugly mug on here. You can get to see somebody else and hear what they're talking about as well. So I want to thank old Curly Jaws. I want to thank everybody that was in the chat tonight. I feel like we had a good conversation. Garrett, especially, I hadn't seen you in the chat for a while, and you popped in here, so thank you for that. And J7, I think you've been in some of my streams before, but it's been a little bit, so welcome back. And with that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Y'all have
See
a
everyone.
good night, old
Oh,
Curly Jaws. Good night,
yeah, good
everybody.
night.
Bye.